Hey, Reece. I think that cave is connected because I just went, mate, I had my hands on a pretty decent one and he shot back the way you were coming. So let's go both at the same time. And cool. All right. But there's about another there's at least another 3 in there. So fingers crossed. And the one I felt he made, he was decent, so he'd be legal.
Yeah, cool.
And I think it's joining up. All right, let's do it. Hey guys, today I'm on another shore dive with a couple of mates, the big fella Grant and my mate Reece boy. Now the weather report looks good, the conditions are flat and the viz looks okay. So we're going to jump in, see if we can get some crays. Now I have an Arancini ball recipe. It's creamy, cheesy, garlicky with chunks of lobster done in white wine and butter, coated in breadcrumbs and deep fried to a light golden brown. It's absolutely bloody sensational. You're gonna love this one, so stick around. But first I gotta catch them, so I'll see you in the water.
Now look at this cheeky bugger. I was no more than 2 minutes in the water. I come across this big flatty lying in the weed, so I line him up and take the shot. Now after a short struggle, I reeled him in, dispatched him and put him on my float line. It was a nice start to the day. Now in our next spot, we found another cave loaded with crays, but it had a big shark right at the entrance, which we had to try and move. A couple pokes in the tail, another little poke in the nose, which doesn't hurt them at all. Unfortunately, it spun him back into the cave, it stirred up a sandstorm, which then I just had to wait till it settled. Big Grant's turned down there now, see if he can locate this thing, see where it's gone. So again, on my next drop, I was just trying to locate it, give it a poke and move it on. As it turned out, he must have seen me coming and decided to move on his own. Now I can finally have a go at catching these lobsters, but first I have to locate them. Now they hadn't gone back too far yet. I edged my way forward, took a quick lunge and I got one. And looks like I was just in time. So we decided to leave him alone and we left this cave for another day. Now in our next spot, we'd located a large single cray all on his own, which ended up being a bit of a struggle getting out. He was deep. I was trying not to get stuck by sea urchins and loosen him from where he was wedged. Now after a short wrestle, I ended up getting him free and he was coming home. Now by the time I'd got back to the surface, Big Green had also managed to get himself one, which was maybe just under legal, so we decided to let it go. Now a few dives later, we managed to find a couple of caves loaded with crays. Unfortunately, they were all undersized. Another hazard of sticking your hands in these caves is these giant eels. I haven't been bitten by one, but I've had a couple mates that have, and it's not fun. Now these next two dives produced our two biggest crays of the day. Unfortunately my GoPro was just about flat, so this little bit of footage is all we got. I had to get quite deep in the cave, but they were worth it. They were big crays. Here's old Reece boy, pretty chuffed with himself. I think the smile says it all. He just got his bag limit for the day.
Now this particular dive was at a different location on a separate day with my other mate Ryan, and we were hunting bream.
Now my technique with bream is get to the bottom, grab hold of something to steady yourself with, sit there and wait. They'll eventually be inquisitive enough, they'll come within range and you can take the shot. Now anytime you shoot a fish, it gives off a distress signal, so any shark that's in the area, it's like ringing a dinner bell and they're going to be straight in. In the end, dive after dive, this shark just kept hassling us. He wouldn't leave, so we decided to move to another spot.
It's a nice bream down there. Nice bream. A big shark too. I know, you didn't see, you dove right on him. You dove right on top of that shark.
So our decision to move spots paid off with Ryan shooting this beautiful snapper. A prized fish for any spearo. In the end, it was a couple of great days in the water with some good mates, bringing home a couple of nice crays and a decent flatty. Now let's do some cooking. First we're going to add some garlic and oil, wrap it in foil and cook it for 20 minutes. Take 4 or 5 cloves and squish them to a paste. In a separate bowl, add 10 strips of saffron and some water. 1 cup of mayo, 2 spoons of Dijon, a glug of good extra virgin olive oil, the zest and juice of 1 lemon, and that incredible saffron water. Extra lemons to serve, a crack of salt and pepper, and give it a mix. Now it's time to prep the lobster. Now if you've seen my last video, you would have seen this already, so we'll do it quick. Remove the head, cut down the side, pull down that flap, remove the meat, and there is some beautiful fresh lobster tail. Now in another pot, we're going to boil the head and the tail to make a lobster stock to cook our rice in. And strain. And there we have the most beautiful lobster stock. Dice shallots and garlic. Add some oil to the pan, then add your onions and garlic. Couple big knobs of butter and melt it down. One and a half cups of Oreo rice and saute for 3 minutes. Half a cup of white wine and stir till it's absorbed. Maybe just a splash more. Now this is where we add our cray stock, half a cup at a time, and stir till absorbed. Now we're going to continue to repeat this process 3 or 4 more times till all the stock's gone and the rice is al dente. A splash of milk for creaminess. Now we're going to add 1 cup grated fine of really good Parmesan cheese. And oh my god, look how creamy that is. What the hell, let's put some more cheese in too.
Sprinkle of parsley for some freshness. Now we're going to chop our cray to a fine dice. Then we're going to add 2 parts rice, 1 part cray. Now we'll roll our rolls and coat them in flour. Then toss them in the egg and coat them in breadcrumbs.
There's my little helper, little Coco. Now we're just going to gently shallow fry them till they're crispy and light golden brown. Now what we're left with is creamy, cheesy garlic balls with chunks of lobster, butter and white wine, crispy coating and a soft centre. And of course our homemade dipping sauce of garlic aioli with saffron, lemon and Dijon. Oh my god, this is just, can't speak, eating. So if you like what you see, hit that subscribe button and the notifications bell for all my future content, and I'll catch you on the next one. Ciao.